get the right agenda. Good evening. Notice hereby giving the annual town meeting of electors for the town of Delafield will be held on Tuesday, April 28th at 6:30 p.m. at the town of Delafield Town Hall. This meeting is being called by the town board in accordance with Wisconsin State Statute 60.11. I'm going to call the town of Delafield annual meeting to order. First order of business is, if you're able, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You'd please call the roll.
Supervisor Mahoney-Ogden.
Present.
Supervisor Miller.
Present.
Supervisor Wolfley.
Present.
Supervisor Berkowitz.
Present.
Chairman Kranek.
Present.
Thank you.
Next item would be citizens' comments for the annual meeting. Does anybody have citizens' comments for the annual meeting? Seeing no citizens' comments for the annual meeting, I'm going to move to item 5. Look for approval of the April 15th, 2025 annual meeting minutes. And just a reminder that this is a meeting of the electors, so anybody that is a resident over 18 years of age of the town of Delafield can make a motion and vote on that.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the minutes from April 15th, 2025. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Next item, appointment of officials. Item A, election of town supervisors to the Plan Commission for a one-year term.
I'd like to make a recommendation. I'm making the recommendation to nominate Scott Berkowitz to join the Plan Commission for the town of Delafield.
Is that a nomination?
I'm recommending it.
Okay. I'll second that nomination.
Any
I'll-
discussion? Questions?
Any reason you don't want to continue on with the Planning Commission Board?
No.
No reason. I think it was just, I think it's another meeting. I enjoyed it, but it is another meeting. That would be the only other reason. It's just because it's another meeting. But have we ever thought about, just as a group, how do you want to say it, sharing I mean, I know that we need to have you on, Ed. I'm just throwing it out there, as opposed to having it be an annual thing that we,
It's laid out in our ordinances how the Plan Commission works, so that's why.
so we can't have a floater for the
No, it's not,
second one.
you can't have a floater.
an
It's
annual
a
thing.
one-year annual appointment nominated by the town board.
The reason why I'm making that recommendation is because I feel like we should probably balance the task sharing.
Okay. All right. You want to vote?
Yeah, there's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 3-2. Next item would be to motion to reappoint members Herrick and Schmidt to the Plan Commission for a term expiring April 30th, 2029. Is there a second?
A second.
Motion is second to reappoint members Herrick and Schmidt. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is appointment of the town board supervisor to Pewaukee Lake Advisory Committee for a one-year term. I nominate Joe Wolfley to serve as that supervisor representing the town of Delafield on the Pewaukee Lake Advisory Committee.
I'll second it.
Motion is second.
A second discussion?
Any discussion?
Sure. I know you've been dying to do it, so.
I was on it prior.
But yeah, you were on it prior. And so I just want to go on record that I will still be involved. I'm interested in it, a lot of it because of the work I'm doing on the Lake Country Clean Water. And so we're doing, and I think that some of the progress we made as a committee wasn't, it was, yes, it was about buoys and things, but I think we realized that there's more our lake can be discussing. And so I think that's the trajectory. I get it, we need to balance things out. So, and I know you've been dying to do it. I'm looking forward to hearing more that the committee can do, because it's, I think we've learned the last time there's just more, like we did the aerators. We did some other things that it was just a little bit beyond, I think, what we've done in the past, and there's more issues, I think, to come some of the work that some of the other lakes are doing. I'm hoping that we can get, Pewaukee on board and just to learn more about some of the other things. We talked about the rising levels of chloride. We talked about what the town's response with the lake and the use of salt on the roads. There's so many things. So it's not that I'm opposed to you doing it. I just want to go on record that I'm still very interested in being on the committee, or so in futures to come. But we can kind of keep divvying things up.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
3-2. Passes. Next item, reappointing all town board members to the Board of Review for a one-year term. I motion that we reappoint all of us back to the Board of Review to serve on the Board of Review for the next year.
Second.
Motion and second to appoint all of us to the Board of Review. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. The Board of Review is actually on June 4th this year at 4 o'clock, I believe. Old business, there is none. New business, there is none. And then just the department reports that were in the packet. If anybody has any questions, we can address them. If not, we can look to set the next annual meeting date. We're required to hold the annual meeting of the towns the third Tuesday of every April, which next year would be April 20th. However, per Wisconsin statute 60.11, the annual meeting can never be held before the third Tuesday in April. However, the town electors have the power to vote at the end of the meeting to set a different meeting date the following year. I would recommend, if it's scheduled within 10 days of that third April and Tuesday, I would recommend that we set the annual meeting date for 2027 to April 27th, 2027, which would be prior to the regularly scheduled town board meeting that day.
So we need a motion to do that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we're motioning to set the annual town meeting for April 27th of '27.
A second.
Motion is second to set the annual meeting for 2027 for April 27th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
Motion second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
6:37.
I'm going to immediately call to order the Town of Delafield Board of Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, April 28th. If you would please stand and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance again. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you please call the roll again?
Supervisor Mahoney Ogden.
Present.
Supervisor Miller.
Present.
Supervisor Wolfley.
Present.
Supervisor Berkowitz.
Present.
Chairman Kranek.
Present.
Thank you.
Citizens' comments, public comments from citizens regarding items on or not on the agenda. The board may not engage in the discussion with the citizens making the comments. Individual presentations are limited to 3 minutes, and citizens shall follow the rules set forth in section 2.04, paren 1, paren D of the town code. Any citizens' comments? Seeing no citizens' comments, I'm going to close the citizens' comments period. And we're going to move to the approval of the minutes, and I would look for a motion to approve the April 14th, 2026 town board minutes.
I motion to approve the April 14th town board minutes with the modification that at the very end of the minutes, we should add, when we read in the resolution, it was read in by Joe Wolfley and seconded by Scott Berkowitz.
Technically, Ed read the whole piece of paper.
The
and then-
motion was Joe and Scott, or did we not need to motion it? Ed read it, then Joe
Joe seconded
motioned,
it.
and then Scott seconded, was what I have in my notes. So Ed read, Joe motioned,
I'll go
Scott
back and
seconded.
review the video
Okay.
and then make
I
an
didn't review it, I
adjustment.
just had it in my notes, but yeah, we should
Sure.
look at it again.
I'll look back at it.
With that one,
Wait, she's saying I motioned?
I motioned it with a modification, but
Okay, but I wasn't here for that part. I didn't show up till afterwards, right?
you were here you came at the end of the meeting. You were here for
you
the
were
end
here
of the
for
meeting.
the road application.
Okay.
I'll look it up
That's a
again
minute
and
piece,
make
yeah.
a change if necessary. Okay.
With that modification, is there a motion to approve? Or there's a motion and a second?
I motioned, we just need a second.
I'm seconding it.
Second, sure.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Look for a motion on accounts payable and payroll.
Motion to approve check register dated April 28th, 2026. Checks number 69491 through 69506. The amount of $40,986.60. And payroll check register dated April 24th, 2026. In the amount of $15,299.12.
A second the motion.
Motion is second for approval of accounts payable and payroll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next item, communications. I have two last-minute communications that have come to me today that I want to mention. There's a public hearing tomorrow evening in the city of Delafield for the property next door to us, the SEH property, their plan commission. Just want to let everybody know about that for awareness. And then the other communication is there's that road in front of us. It's called Silver Lane Road between Elmhurst and Maple Avenue. The DOT is going to be closing that road down next Monday to start the construction. So just want to make sure everybody aware of that. And if you want to sign up for updates, go to the Wisconsin 511 page to sign up for that updates. Next item, item 8, unfinished business for discussion and possible action. Item A, consideration possible action on the request from Robert Davies RED Properties LLC and William B. and Kathy J. Davies Revocable Trust owners for approval of a certified survey map to create 2 residential parcels, outlots on a public road on a 10.4946 acre parcel located on the south side of United States Highway 18, approximately 1,200 feet west of County Highway G, Elmhurst Road, tax key number DELT 0860.991.001, as recommended unanimously by the Town Plan Commission at their December 2nd, 2025 meeting.
Any comments from this on the plan commission?
No, I was just going to say, Plan Commission met on this. We had to wait for a little bit for, all the rest of the municipalities to meet and talk. So I think we're at the point that, we were just waiting for that. And so we were good to go with it. I know, I just had my question, but it seemed like the road was awfully wide. And I know the developer probably wouldn't want it as wide, but I think that's just, they've come to the conclusion that's what it's got to be. I know we've got to help with safety to make sure we can get and safety vehicles up there. Otherwise, Plan Commission, we looked at this already, so we were just kind of waiting for these last pieces. So I think it's a beautiful piece. I think they're keeping in mind what we want to do in the town, and have wonderful big lots. I think it's a nice, it's a beautiful piece and beautiful for those who are going to be able to get to live in there. I think it's nice, and it's so I think it's a nice use of the land, and so I motion to approve the final certified survey map for lands known as tax key DELT 0860.991.001, subject to the issues surrounding the stormwater facility ownership and the maintenance being resolved to the satisfaction of the Town of Delafield Board, the planner, and the attorney, and the Town of Genesee Board, planner, and attorney.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the CSM with those conditions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The CSM is approved, 5-0. Next item, item B, would be a resolution to exceed the state-imposed levy limits for the town of Delafield and authorize a multi-year referendum, 27 to 2031, that would be placed on the August 11th ballot.
After our last meeting that we discussed the referendum question and we chose option B, I took that information to the Department of Revenue and they assisted me with the calculation of the verbiage for the question and all of our amounts, which I took a screenshot of and put inside of the memo. So that information is then reflected in the resolution with the language on it that I would need to get to the county by, I believe I said, June 2nd.
Any other discussion on this?
No,
I mean,
I'd
that's-
look, I'd look for
went
a
over this,
motion
pretty
to
well, so,
adopt it, and then we're working on education and stuff.
Motion to adopt the multi-year referendum as written.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Motion second to adopt the resolution to exceed the state-imposed levy limits for the town of Delafield and authorize a multi-year referendum. There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next item, item 9, new business for discussion, possible action. 2025 MS4 permit report from Rupert Milkey, presenter Riley Stone.
All right. My name is Riley Stone from R.A. Smith. I'm a project manager, focused more on stormwater and floodplain management. So I'm here to talk about today the MS4 annual report that was submitted on behalf of the town in March for the calendar year of 2025. So just want to give you a quick overview of what that MS4 program is, as well as how the town fared with that report. So the MS4 program stands for Municipal Separated Storm Sewer System. While the town doesn't necessarily have a ton of storm sewer, they do have conveyance ditches, they have culverts, and that's classified under that MS4 permit. So that MS4 permit essentially is a permit to discharge stormwater. There's a lot of different facets under that permit that I'll get into, the different control measures that they look for. But essentially, this all started back in 1972 with the Clean Water Act. There were a lot of stormwater regulations that spurred from that. In 1993 is when Wisconsin actually adopted NR 216, which is the administrative code that deals directly with the MS4 program. So at that time, a lot of the municipalities in the state started to be required to have an MS4 permit. I believe 2004 was when the town of Delafield got their first MS4 permit, and has had one ever since. So again, this is mandated by EPA as part of the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, and the goal is essentially to reduce the amount of pollutants that get into our waterways, lakes, rivers, what have you. So I'll go through the 6 minimum control measures, which are listed in the MS4 report. These are the measures that the town needs to meet every single year. There's certain requirements that are listed in that permit. So I'll go through those 6 and kind of update everyone on how the town met those measures in 2025. So the first one is public education and outreach. Essentially, that's the part of the permit that the goal is to educate the public about stormwater, right? There's different educational topics that have to be presented on upon the year. Fortunately, the town of Delafield is able to rely on Waukesha County for this. There's an agreement in place. Waukesha County does this as a regional effort for a lot of the communities in the area. They prepare a lot of informational brochures, flyers. They have presentations with schools, different activities, festivals that go on. So again, they do that as a regional effort, so it covers a lot of the municipalities, talking about things like household waste, yard waste, infiltration, illicit discharges, things like that. As part of the permit, there needs to be an active mechanism, so like I said, presentations, but there's also passive ones that, flyers that go in tax bills and things like that. So again, that's something Waukesha County had done on behalf of the town in 2025. They listed that there was 93 activities throughout the year. So not all of those were in the town of Delafield, but surrounding areas that they were able to take credit for. So that was the first program in the MS4 permit. The second one is public involvement and participation. It's a similar program, but the goal is to get the public involved. So even tonight, this is an opportunity, right, to present this report at a public meeting in case there are public comments. We also post the MS4 report on the town website every year. We have our contact information in there. If anything comes up, anyone's able to contact us, and we can help answer any questions regarding that in the program. And then another requirement as part of the permit is that there needs to be one volunteer opportunity throughout the year. So again, rely on Waukesha County for that. They host a lot of volunteer activities over the course of the year, and that's how that requirement is met on the town's behalf. The next section of the MS4 report is illicit discharge detection and elimination. Essentially, this is looking for any illegal discharges in the storm sewer system. So if someone's dumping detergents down the drain, we test for copper, we test for ammonia, we test for phenols. Essentially, it's annual screening. So R.A. Smith does this every year for the town. We go out, we go to the outfalls, the culvert outfalls that discharge to the lakes, rivers, and we take a sample if there's water there, and then we take that back and we test it for all those different parameters. So in 2025, we tested 26 outfalls. Fortunately, we found 0 illicit discharges. So obviously a good thing there, but at the same time, we're out in a snapshot of time. So in theory, if someone comes out the next day and does it, we're going to miss it. But it's not a perfect system, but it does meet the permit requirements, and we're always on the lookout if there's a drainage complaint or something like that. That's something we can go out and we can grab a sample and test for. The next section of the MS4 permit pertains to construction site pollutant control. So essentially, this is erosion control for construction sites. We're talking the black silt fences, the tracking pads. The goal here is just to eliminate any sediment from running off those construction sites, either onto the roadway, into the runoff or the conveyance systems, the ditches, culverts, that kind of thing. So as part of the permit, municipalities are required to inspect once every 45 days for a construction site. And these, for this MS4 permit, that when we say construction site, it's only sites that are over an acre of disturbance. So, a lot of the individual lots for Welshire Farms, those technically aren't counted towards that. Now they're inspected by the building inspector, but they're not falling under this permit because it's only pertaining to the sites that disturb an acre and require a DNR permit. So again, the town relies on Waukesha County for this effort. Waukesha County does all the erosion control inspections. They work with the contractors on site. So they completed 28 inspections in 2025. Again, fortunately, 0 enforcement actions were needed. So that's a good thing. Contractors obviously are understanding what's expected of them. I'm sure there's occurrences that pop up throughout the year, but in terms of the bigger inspections at Waukesha County, they didn't have many issues with that. The next section is post-construction stormwater management. So this is when construction sites are complete. Typically there's a stormwater facility that's needed for any new development. So the goal here is to ensure that those stormwater facilities are maintained and are operating properly throughout their life. So something that we've been working on with Michelle this year, and we will be doing, is we will be sending letters out to private owners for their stormwater facilities to ensure that they're maintained. So the permit requires that these facilities are inspected once per permit term, which is every 5 years. So the process that we've decided to move forward with is to send letters out to these owners, and then they'll be responsible for finding their own engineer, inspector to essentially inspect their facility and recommend any maintenance, and then that maintenance should then be completed. If they're unable to do so, then I know we're available to do the inspection for them, and then we would bill the owner back for that time. So again, just making sure that they're operating as they're intended, whether it's just vegetation control, obviously try to avoid flooding, it benefits water quality. So that's what we're looking for that section. The last section here is pollution prevention. It's kind of a miscellaneous topic in the MS4 permit. It deals with a lot of municipally owned stormwater facilities. They look at tracking salt usage throughout the winter. They look at tracking street sweeping. So Don and the highway crew, they keep track of all those numbers throughout the year. And then come annual report time that's due at the end of March, he gets me those numbers, and it basically reported to DNR. So essentially DNR is looking at these totals, and they're looking at, like for salt usage per se, they're looking at those totals, looking at how many lane miles that the town has, and does that make sense, or is there way too much salt being put down, or not enough, vice versa. So that's something that DNR looks at with these annual reports. And again, these annual reports get submitted every March. It's essentially a report card for the municipality and how they're doing in terms of that MS4 permit. The last item I have is the TMDLs. I would say this is probably one of the bigger items. It's a little bit newer, but it stands for total maximum daily load. So what this is there was a study done for a specific watershed, and that study determined how many pollutants can be discharged to that river, that waterway, without it becoming impaired. So then that number is back calculated to a specific watershed, specific municipality, and that municipality then has a target number that they need to reduce the amount of pollutants by. So for the town of Delafield, there there is the Rock River and there's the Fox River. Right now, there's only a TMDL for the Rock River. The Fox River will be coming, but fortunately, we are now meeting the TMDL for the Rock River. We had done some recent swale infiltration testing in some of the subdivisions to better document the infiltration rates. And with that effort, we submitted to DNR and they gave their approval. So good news is there doesn't need to be any extra efforts at this time for the Rock River. For the Fox River, once that TMDL comes out, which will probably be in the next year or so, there will be requirements similar to the Rock River, being that the town is, I'd say slightly more developed on the eastern half towards the Fox River. It's probably likely that the town won't be meeting those requirements right off the bat. So there will likely have to be some sort of effort, some sort of plan that goes into place. And DNR is typically looking for a plan that the municipality can commit to and put a budget to essentially. So again, we're a ways off on that still. I think there's a lot of planning that needs to be done when that TMDL comes out. But that's just something that, maybe we need a new regional pond here. Maybe we do a new construction project that helps stormwater and increases the water quality benefits from it. So again, a ways off until we kind of understand those numbers and see where things come in. There's not much to do at this point, but eventually that will be coming down the line. So I believe that's really all I have about the MS4. I know I kind of skimmed through that pretty quickly, but I could sit up here for hours, to be honest, and talk about this. There's a lot that goes into it, but I'm happy to answer any questions or any comments as they come up.
How much of the town sheds into the Rock River? And the closest point of the rock is off of 94, right?
Yeah, it's the western portion of the town. I don't have it memorized per se, but I want to say the majority is to the Fox. So when we did that swale testing, it was the southwestern corner of the town, and I think I can't remember exactly where else we tested, but yeah, I don't know the breakdown, I guess, percentage wise.
I guess when I think of nearby rivers, the rock wouldn't have.
Yeah, well, it doesn't drain directly to the rock. Like the Scuppernong, I believe that's what drains to the Rock River. So it's kind of that larger watershed approach.
Okay.
Are you involved with the CLMN at all? Citizen Lake Monitoring Network group?
I am not personally, no.
Okay, so there's no correlation of what they're finding and what you're finding?
No, I'm sure there's some sort of correlation. A lot of the nonprofit groups usually tend to work with, the regulatory agencies, DNR, and municipalities. So there is a lot of overlap on that, and I think that's the benefit for the town of Delafield too, because they are covered under a group permit, whereas there's a lot of other municipalities that they're covered under just the general permit. So they're kind of by themselves. Where the town of Delafield meets with the Fox River, other communities in the Fox River essentially, and it's helpful to be able to bounce ideas off of one another. Where certain communities are sometimes on an island by themselves, so there is that benefit to it.
How much street sweeping do we do?
Street sweeping, let's see if I have the numbers.
Can we get a copy of that report too, please?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it would be great to see a copy. Yeah.
I don't have the numbers on me, but yes, it is on the town website. So they report the tonnage of material that's collected, and it's broken down by month. So I don't know off the top of my head, but.
Great.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Very
Thank you.
informative. Item 10, announcements. There is a plan commission meeting next Tuesday, the 5th, 6:30. There's a public hearing. There's a town board meeting on the 12th. And Lake Country Fire and Rescue has a board meeting here on the 20th, where they will have an election of officers. Supervisor Morris from the town of Genesee is no longer on the fire board, so they're going to have to elect a new president. Item 11, I look for a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
A second.
Motion second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye, opposed. We are adjourned.
6:59.